In the last video, we have seen various data types that are supported by Python. In this video, how to convert from one data type to the other data type. Python supports both the implicit type conversion and the explicit type conversion. So first we'll see how a type of value can be converted to the other type explicitly. At the end of the video, we'll see how Python uses implicit type conversion to convert a specific type of value to the other type. Let's consider these variables which are belonging to different types. So here A is of integer type, F is of type float, C is a complex number, and D is holding a Boolean value, where L is holding a collection of values which is a list, whereas S and S1 are the strings. In case of the explicit type conversion, the variable that is belonging to one type can be explicitly converted to the other type. Here I would like to convert this float type of variable to the integer type. So to convert any type of variable to the integer, we have a method int. So just pass the other type of variable to the int method to convert to the integer type. Say for example, I want to convert this variable f to the integer type. Basically f is a float type of variable. So here if you observe, after passing this variable f to the int method, the type of the variable f is converted to int. That is how a float type of value can be converted to integer. So similarly, other type of data like string, Boolean type can also be converted to the integer type. So let's see the examples now. Here D is a variable which is holding a value true. So that means the variable D is belonging to the Boolean type. Now when we pass this variable D to the integer method, then this variable is converted to the integer type. When a Boolean value is converted to the integer type, if it is a true value, then it is converted to 1. If it is a false value, then it is treated as a 0. You need to observe one thing while converting a value to the integer. It is not possible to convert a complex type of data to the integer type. Here if you observe, C is a complex number holding 3 plus 4j as a value. It is not possible to convert a complex type of value to the integer type. So that is how when we try to convert this complex variable to the integer type, so it is throwing an error. Similarly, it is not valid to convert any collection type of value to the integer type. Say for example, so we have a variable L which is holding a collection of values as a list. So it is not possible to convert this list to the integer type because it's a collection type, whereas when we try to convert to integer, we are converting to a scalar type. So it is not valid to convert a collection data type to the integer. So that's how it's throwing an error again. Let's see how we can convert a string value to the integer. So consider S as a string which holds the value 23 as a string. Here if you observe, the variable S is holding a value 23, but its type is string. That is 23 is stored as a string in the variable S. Now when we pass this variable S to the int method, then it is converted to the integer type. Now the type of S is the integer type. So that's how a string value can be converted to an integer type by passing that value or the variable to the integer method. While converting a string to the int type, you need to be little careful because the value must be compatible, then only it is possible to convert to the other type. Say for example, in this case, S1 is a string which is holding the string Python. So this cannot be converted to integer type. So when I try to pass to the int method to convert this Python to integer type, so it throws an error because the value that is stored in the string S1 cannot be converted to integer type. That is, it is not compatible. Whereas in the case of S was holding the value 23. Basically, it is an integer, but it is stored as a string. That's how it is compatible to convert that value to the integer. Whereas in the case of the S1, it is not compatible. That's how it's throwing an error. So that is how any type of data can be converted to the integer type by passing that value or variable to the int method. So you need to remember one thing while converting to the integers, it is valid to convert a float type to int. So it is valid to convert a float type to int, a Boolean type to int, but it is not valid to convert a complex or a collection type to the int type. So moreover, you can also convert a string to the int type as long as it is compatible. When it is not compatible, it throws an error. So that is how any type of data can be converted to int type. So here we are explicitly using this method int to convert one type of data to the other type. That's how this type of conversion is known as the explicit type conversion. While converting a float value to the integer, there will be a loss in data. If you consider here the floating point variable f which contains the value 1.4, when we convert this value to the integer, then if you observe, it gets the value of 1. So the fractional part will be truncated. So that's how when a floating point value is converted to an integer, so there will be a data loss. Now let's see how a type of value is converted to a float type. Here if you observe, you have set of variables. So A is an integer, B is a boolean, F is a float, C is a complex number, and S is a string. Now let's see how these values can be converted to a float type. So to convert any specific type of value to a float, you can use the method float in Python. So here you can see by passing the integer value A to the float method, so it is converted to the type float. So similarly, we can convert the other types also. So if you observe, B is holding a value true, which indicates that B is of boolean type. So we can convert this boolean type of value to the float type by passing the variable to the method float. So after conversion, so B gets the value 1.0 as B was holding a value true. So whatever the boolean values that are holding a true values, so those will be converted as 1.0s in float type. Boolean values that are holding false values, they will be converted to 0.0. So that's how you can convert a specific type of value to the float type by using the float method. Similarly, it is also possible to convert the string type of values to the float type. So let's see an example. Here S is a string which is holding a string 10.3. So as it is compatible to convert this string to the float type, so it can be converted to the float type by using the float method. So here if you observe, S is converted to the float type by passing it to the float method. After conversion, the variable S is treated as float type. So and you need to remember one thing, while converting the string to the other types, if it is compatible then only it can be converted, otherwise throws an error. Here S was holding a value 10.3 which is compatible to float type, that is how there was no problem while conversion. So let's consider another string, say for example Python, and now if I try to convert this to float type, so as it is not compatible with the float type, so it throws an error. So that is how you need to be little careful while converting a string type to the other types. So now we have seen various examples how a specific type of value to be converted to the float type. You can use the method float to convert to the float type. So we have seen how an integer value, a boolean value and a string value can be converted to the float type, and it is not valid to convert any collection type of value to the float type. So consider this list L which is holding a collection of elements as a list. So in this case, when I try to convert this to a float, then it throws an error as it is not valid. So conversion of any collection data type to the scalar type is not valid. That's what we understand based on the discussion so far. So we have seen so far how to convert a specific type of value to the integer type, then a specific type of value to the float type. So to convert to the integer type, you need to use the method int, and similarly you can convert a specific type to the float type by passing a value or the variable to the float method. Now let's see how the other types of scalar data can be converted to a complex type. So you can use a complex method to convert a specific type of value to the complex type. If you observe here, A is an integer and it is converted to the complex type by passing the variable to the method complex. And after conversion, so you can see the type of the variable A is of complex type. So when you convert an integer to the complex type, the imaginary part is considered as 0. So not only while conversion of integer to the complex type, whenever you convert a float type or when you convert the boolean type also, the imaginary part is considered as 0 and only the real part will be considered. So here consider this variable f, which is a float type of value, and now we are going to convert this float value to the complex by passing the variable to the complex method. So here also you can observe that the imaginary part is considered as 0, only the real part is considered, and the type of the variable f is complex now because it is converted to complex. Similarly, a string value can also be converted to complex by passing the value to the complex method. So because the value that is stored in the string s is compatible to be of the complex type, it could be converted, otherwise it would have thrown an error. So not only the integer, float and the complex types, it is also valid to convert a boolean type to the complex type. So here if you observe, B is a boolean variable which is holding the value true and it is converted to the complex type. Because the value stored in B is true, the real part of the complex number is treated as 1 and the imaginary part is considered as 0. As we already discussed earlier, it is not valid to convert any collection data type to the scalar type. It holds good in the case of the complex type also. Consider this example L, which is a list with a collection of elements. When we try to convert this to the complex type, it's throwing an error as it is not valid to convert any collection data type to the scalar type. So now we understand that we can use the method complex to convert any scalar type to the complex type. And when a scalar type is converted to the complex type, the imaginary part is treated as a 0 and only the associated real part is considered as a valid value. And while converting the string, when the string contains a compatible value, then only it is valid, otherwise it throws an error. And it is not valid to convert any collection type to the complex type. Now let's see how a value can be converted to a Boolean type. So we can use the bool method to convert any specific type of value to the bool type. And while converting a value to the bool type, so the value that is to be converted, if it is a non-zero value, then only it will be treated as a true value, otherwise it will be treated as a false. So consider this example A, which is holding a value 10. So because 10 is a non-zero value, so when we convert that to bool, so it treats that as a true. So whenever we convert a 0 value to bool, then it treats that value as a false. So not only that, so all the values that are treated as false in case of Python, they will be treated as false when we convert those values using the bool method. So for example, in Python, the value 0, empty parenthesis, all these things are treated as false. So when we convert them using the bool method, then they will be treated as false and the rest of the values will be treated as true. So that is how we can convert any specific value to the Boolean value by using the bool method. See here, so f is a floating point value which is holding the value to 0.3 because it's a non-zero value, it's treated as a true value. And similarly, you can also convert a complex value to the Boolean value because C is a non-zero complex number, it is also treated as a true value. So while converting a specific value to the Boolean type, so if it is a non-zero value or the empty parenthesis or the empty braces, then it is treated as a true, otherwise it is treated as a false. So that's how we can convert any specific type of value to the Boolean type. In case of the explicit type conversion, it is also valid to convert any collection type to the Boolean type. If the collection data variable is a non-empty value, then it is treated as a true value, otherwise it is treated as a false value. Unlike the other conversions, while converting a specific value to the Boolean type, it is also valid to use the collection data structures. That is, you can also convert any collection data value to the Boolean type. And when you convert using this bool method, so if the collection data value is holding a non-empty value, then it is treated as a true, otherwise it is treated as a false. So consider this example L, which is holding a collection of elements, then when we convert that using the bool method, because it's non-empty, it is treated as a true value. So consider another example where L1 is an empty list. So in this case, if we use the bool method and convert that to Boolean, because it's a non-empty list, it is treated as a false. So that is how we can convert any specific type of value in Python to the Boolean type. Similar to the scalar type conversion, it is also valid to convert the collection types. Consider the list, tuple, dictionary and scalar. So as long as they are compatible to convert, so we can explicitly convert these data types also. Say for example, now I would like to convert this list L to the tuple. So you can use the method to convert any other data type to the tuple. Any other data structure can be converted to the list by using the list method. So now I am converting the set S to the list. So that is how it is valid to convert from one data type to the other data type explicitly. So this is how explicitly you can use the methods to convert any specific type to the other type. While converting any other type to the dictionary, you should be a little careful. We all know that dictionary is a pair of keyword and the value. So that is how when you convert a list or the tuple to the dictionary, it should have a pair of values. Each element should be a pair of values. Then only it is possible to convert any other type to the dictionary. Say for example, in this case, so the list contains a collection of elements where each element is again a pair of values. So in this case, the tuple is also kind of a collection of elements where every element is again a pair of elements. So it is possible to convert this list L and this tuple T1. So whereas this list cannot be converted to the dictionary or this tuple also cannot be converted to the dictionary. So if you observe, you can use the dict method to convert the tuple or the set or even the list to the dictionary. If you observe here, using the statement, I am going to convert the list L to the dictionary using the dict method. Similarly, using the statement, so I converted the tuple T1 to the dictionary. So after converting to the dictionary, you can observe the variables D1 and D2 are of type dict, showing that they are the dictionary type. So if you observe the elements of D1, element of the list is now treated as a pair of keyword and value in case of the dictionary. Here also, so this is considered as a single element, but each element is a pair of keyword and value. So similarly, you can check the dictionary D2, so where the tuple T1 is converted to the dictionary D2. So here also you can see every element now has become a pair of keyword and value. That is how other types of data can be converted to the dict. Similarly, you can even convert a list to the set by using the set method. So if you observe, I am passing So now consider this list L, which contains a collection of elements. Now I would like to convert this list to the set. You can use the set method to convert any other type to the set type. So here, if you observe, the list L is converted to the set by using the set method. So if you observe, so S is a collection of elements where there is no ordering among the elements, and the type of S is now a set. That is how you can convert one specific type of collection data to the other types. So you can use list method to convert to the list, you can use tuple method to convert to the tuple, you can use the dict method to convert to the dict. Similarly, you can use set method to convert to a set. So this is how explicitly a specific type of the data can be converted to the other type. So you need to remember one thing while explicitly converting the data in Python. So whenever the data is compatible, as long as the data is compatible, it is valid to convert from one type to the other. Otherwise, it is not valid. So now in the next video, we'll see how implicit conversion takes place in Python. Thank you for watching this video.